Hey guys, welcome back to The.Gear.Locker. Today, we're excited to bring you a video talking about the Lindnerhof Taktik Gen V plate carrier and some of the reproductions that you can get on the market today. As you can see, I'm not alone in this one. I'm very proud to introduce one of my good friends and someone who's as equally financially ruined by this as I am, Michael Freilish.
Hey everyone.
As I mentioned, we're going to be talking about some of the different options that you as a Spesker reenactor or just general Bundeswehr collector can have if you want a Lindnerhof Taktik style Gen V plate carrier in your collection. Now, as I'm sure you've seen, this is the plate carrier that I typically run in some different variations, but this is generally what we're going to be looking at. What I have here is an issued Gen V plate carrier, so let's kind of dive into what the Gen V actually is.
So as you've seen before, right, up until this point, the German KSK were running the Gen 3 plate carrier beginning around 2009 to right around 2013 when you start to see the appearance of the Gen 5 plate carrier, right? So a difference between Gen 3, Gen 5, bringing it up to a more modern plate carrier than what you saw with the pretty basic Gen 3.
And in those years, there was some kind of transitional period where some members of the KSK received the Gen 4 plate carrier. It was not widespread, although the Gen 4 is definitely a plate carrier that bridged the gap. However, once that 2014 time period hit, the Gen 5 was issued to the KSK pretty much then on until about 2017, 2018, when they started getting into some of the laser cut stuff. When the new set was issued in 2014, the Gen 5 plate carrier was accompanied by many pouches, a chest rig, all kinds of different tidbits and accessories. However, the Gen 5 was unique in its own right in that it was actually two pieces to a plate carrier that were offered in the same package. Like the Gen 3 and Gen 4, you had a quick release variant, and that included the pull tab that was typically Velcroed to the front of the plate carrier. The releasable Gen 5 plate carrier combined the cummerbund, the rear plate bag, and front plate bag, and allowed all of it to be disconnected with the wire pull. However, for the Gen 5 plate carrier, this was not the only option issued. In addition to the quick release variant, a standard Velcro variant was included, where instead of having that quick release pull tying things together, you had Velcro connecting the cummerbund to the rear plate bag and the front plate bag through the straps to the rear.
So other than the quick release pull tab, right, the rest of the plate carrier is essentially exactly the same. It's just a different way that the cummerbund is attached to the back.
And something interesting to note about these kinds of variants is that the commercial Lindnerhof Taktik plate carrier, which we'll talk about some of the differences later, did not include a standard non-quick release version. The issued one came with both, but the commercial one only came with quick release.
So the major difference between the commercial and the issued versions of the Gen 5 is that the issued version has a tan mesh backing, as you can see here, both on the back of the plate carrier as well as on the pontoons, which, again, the pontoons are another nice addition to add to the comfort of this compared to the Gen 3. But what you'll see on the commercial one is that the backing is going to be green throughout. So that's a big clue on whether or not you have a issued plate carrier versus a commercial one.
However, there is a little bit of nuance with this. Something that we've kind of been investigating with the rear mesh color is we have received some issued Gen 5 pieces that are tan mesh and don't have an issued tag. So if you wanted to add a Lindnerhof Taktik brand Gen 5 plate carrier to your collection in the Bundeswehr style, again, look for that tan mesh. The green, not so correct.
The tan adds that little extra that you see on all of the KSK reference photos that make it look just a little bit nicer.
Yeah, especially if you look on the rear plate bag, you'll see it very often as they're leaning forward, they're shooting, that little strip of tan. It's a small detail, but one that not only adds authenticity, but completes that kind of issued look.
Yeah, absolutely.
And that's not to say for some units they didn't use green mesh. There are definitely cases of privately purchased Gen 5s, especially with some of the Angel Thunder Kampfredder photos. It's prevalent out there, but for Spesker, who always received issued Gen 5s, that's what you want.
Really common with EGB as well, where they're private purchasing them.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. The Gen 5 plate carrier is absolutely one that you should add to your collection for these kinds of kits. However, not only is the cost very hard to swallow sometimes, but finding an actual issued one is very hard to come by, especially nowadays. So what a lot of people have resorted to or have found to be an awesome alternative are reproduction Gen V plate carriers.
That's right. So right now, that we're aware of, there are really only two options to get a Steingrau Gen 5 plate carrier in the style that the KSK would use with the tan mesh backing, right? And that would be from Roman Kurmaz in Ukraine, right? So well-known maker of reproduction gear, well-known for making different style cry uniforms, as well as Lindnerhof Reproductions, right? So this is a front plate bag from a Roman Kurmaz Gen 5. You can see it's Steingrau, right? Tan mesh interior, right? Looks very similar to the actual Lindnerhof issued one. Okay. Another newer option would be from USV gear, also from Ukraine. Okay. You can see as well Steingrau tan mesh. Okay. So now I think we should take a little bit of look at the differences between them, because they are different than the Lindnerhof plate carrier, right? In different ways. Right? Look at those details.
Yeah, absolutely. Historically, there have been some other manufacturers, Iceberg Dyke Tactic, but these are the two, again, that are currently on the market at the time of recording this video.
Iceberg still exists on AliExpress.
He does.
Not making Gen 5 pouches, etc.
Yeah. Unfortunately, no carriers coming from him, because he did do some really good stuff, especially later on in his eBay selling. But let's take a look at these two reproduction options.
So starting with the Roman Kurmaz, I actually only have a front bag here because this is my front bag. My issued Gen 5 plate carrier did not have a front. It's only a back, so I used the Roman Kurmaz as my front, which actually blends very well, as you're about to see. So one of the things that you see right away is that the color is pretty close, right? The Steingrau color is pretty close. With the Roman being slightly darker, would you say?
I would say so as well, yeah.
Yeah.
Although the webbing is a little bit lighter on it. It more closely matches the backing material, whereas on the issued one, you do see it stands out a little bit more.
Yeah, and then you see also a difference in the Velcro color, but I've seen multiple examples of issued Gen 5s where the Velcro is this color, right? So you see a darker green here versus a more brownish green here on the Roman Kurmaz.
Both of these would be acceptable for the coloration.
We're totally looking at details.
Right, absolutely. We're nitpicking, but that's what this video is for.
Right.
Original Lindnerhof Taktik is from 2013. So as later years, like my personal 2014 one, has the brown Velcro just like that. So it could just be a generational difference. Minor, and I don't think it would be outside of the realm of possibility if it mixed and matched.
But kudos to Roman Kurmaz for actually matching that color of the brownish Velcro, which is probably the example that he saw.
Yeah, his experience definitely lends to a very well-made one.
So we flip it around, right? Look at the color of the tan mesh. You can see, again, this is also spot on. You see the difference between not having that orange Lindnerhof tag that you would expect to see, right? Instead, you get the Roman Kurmaz label, right, as you'd expect. The tan color is very close. Again, this is a front bag, so it doesn't have the pontoons. The rear Roman bag does have the pontoons. It comes with it, as you'd expect. So despite the fact that I don't have a rear bag, I do know that Roman only does offer the quick release version. He does not make a non-releasable back. The version he would send to you would be the quick release version with all of the actual functional quick release mechanism found on the rear plate bag.
So even though the original did come with both, the Roman Kurmaz version is just going to be one plate carrier set. Front bag, rear bag, cummerbund, shoulder straps.
Okay, switching over to the USB, I'm just showing, so I do have a complete USB set here. This is the rear plate bag, so a better comparison. This is where you'll start to see it diverge a little bit. So the color is close to the Roman in terms of the plate bag itself. The Steingrau is closer to Roman in being that darker gray color. What you see noticeably right away is that the webbing is not quite as good a reproduction that we would see with Roman Kurmaz to the original Lindnerhof.
Right. It seems like this one wanted to get that darker webbing that you do see on the original. However, they went a little bit too dark. The Roman is very muted. And honestly, most of the time, the webbing is covered by pouches.
Right.
So while this isn't something that would be too much of an issue, this is definitely a little bit darker than we would have liked.
Right. When you have pouches on you, you're not. So flipping it over, then looking at the tan, you can see that where the Roman was a pretty good match with the Lindnerhof. Again, here the USV gear version, slightly paler color tan, right? And here you see also that pontoons are provided, right? It's also a quick release system, just like the Roman would be. So very similar in the fact that you're getting only the quick release version with USB gear, right? But the big difference being that the tan, while present, which is great, is a little bit lighter than what you would see with either the Lindnerhof or the Roman Kurmaz.
And is there a tag on that one?
There is no tag on the USB gear. So looking at the front bag, There's no tags anywhere on the inside of the plate bag that, like you saw with the Roman Kurmaz. So if you were to find a reproduction Gen 5 and it doesn't have a tag, good chance it came from USV Gear.
Or it could have been removed. So what I would keep an eye out for, yeah, we have seen some of those in recent months. Make sure in that orange tag, even if it's not present, you see some square kind of stitch marks. Usually that's going to be your indicator.
Yeah, we've seen some examples where the operator has removed it for various reasons. We don't know why, but there are genuine Lindnerhof Taktik Gen 5s with removed tags up there. And you'll see the remnants of the stitching.
Right. In addition to Steingrau Olive, Lindnerhof Taktik also produces a couple of different other color options for the Gen 5 plate carrier. Olive and tan were issued to Spedsker units. However, you can also find different options in Flecktarn, Multicam I've seen them in,
and
Coyote, and black as well.
Black.
So Lindnerhof does produce other ones, but if you're looking for an issued style, these are the two colors you're going to want to get. Keep in mind, Coyote is not the same as tan. If you know anything about old Eagle Industries gear, like the Sierra Vest, it kind of has this bright golden color. The Lindnerhof is closely matching to that.
Another way to easily tell the difference between the tan and the Coyote is the Coyote webbing is very distinct.
Right, it's kind of dark, almost like this. Yeah. Whereas this one is a kind of a gold as well.
That's the easiest way to tell them apart.
Right.
I do want to do a home shopping now. How do I get one?
So if I were looking to purchase a Gen 5 or Gen 5 replica, how would I go about it and what would I do?
So yeah, for the two repro, so let's start with the Lindnerhof, right? Can't buy it in the store, right? You're going to have to be private purchasing most of the time in Germany, right? Like much of the equipment that we acquire for KSK reenacting. So you're going to have to find a private seller, usually somebody who has issued it or required it from somebody who has issued it. So for both of the REPRO options, you can't unfortunately buy them on a website. There's no website we can point to and show you where to get these. For the Roman Kurmaz and for the USV Gear, the only way to acquire these is to reach out to them on Instagram. Or
Facebook, right?
Or Facebook, for Roman. I think USV Gear is only Instagram.
Correct.
So we can show you where you can get a hold of them, but essentially you send them a message to say, hey, I'm interested in this, and they will make it up for you.
And of course, prices are subject to change, but how much did you spend on each of these different full plate carrier setups?
Yeah, so a full Gen 5 from USV Gear, which is this one here, was 200 euros plus 30 euros shipping from Ukraine. It took around 2 months, I think, from the time I sent the payment to being delivered to my doorstep. So around 230 euros all in for this reproduction. For the Roman Kurmaz, obviously no rear plate bag here, right? But you order it as a complete set. For both the front and plate bag delivered, again, to your doorstep, around 250 euros, so 20 euros more expensive. Around the same amount of time, between 1 and 2 months from ordering to delivery as of right now. Obviously, things are subject to change in Ukraine. But as of right now, if you were to place an order, that's about how long it takes.
Well, of course, we prefer purchasing the original Lindnerhof Taktik Gen 5 plate carrier. Of these two options, I would say they're each equally acceptable for different kinds of impressions, especially for KVB.
And as I said, I run a Roman Kurmaz front plate bag. And in fact, whenever I've shown pictures of my setup, nobody knows that. Right?
Exactly.
I'm outing myself right here and showing everybody that I use a Roman Kurmaz front plate bag.
10 feet away, you're not going to see the differences whatsoever. It's only when you get two of us sitting here nitpicking all the little stitches to be able to tell the difference. But again, we're not picking them out to say that one is bad or one is good. They're all equally acceptable options and something that you could run to get a better start into your modern KSK, EGB, different unit impression kits.
Absolutely. It really is, for a period of time, the staple German Special Forces plate carrier. If you're interested in doing that, this is the plate carrier you need to have.
So if you're looking to get your start into the Lindnerhof Taktik Gen 5, I would definitely recommend checking out one of these options. Hopefully this video was not only informative, but showed you some of the things to look for if you're trying to purchase one. So, any final thoughts for Eilish?
This is the really the premier German plate carrier. When I think of plate carriers, I think of the Gen 5, right? Super comfortable, super useful, and this is how you get one.
This is also how you wear one. So, this is the Gear Locker. Thanks for checking out the video, and we'll see you guys on the field in the next one.